you mentioned that probably there were some things that could have been fine-tuned or written differently. What were those things? What comes to mind?
I think one of the most recent events that kind of emphasizes that is the Commission's action on flounder and not following the process set out in the legislation, and not using peer-reviewed science to make their determination. One of the problems is that there's no appeals process. And so when something like that happens, you have a choice. You can either live with it or you can try to sue them. Well, suing is a very expensive thing, and most people don't know how to do that. And by the time you get through the courts, whatever the situation is, it's either push people out of fishing or everybody's just, thrown up their hands. We should have had an appeals process in there, and perhaps it could have been as easy as sending it to the Attorney General's office for an opinion, because the attorneys that work for those boards, although they come out of the Attorney General's office, their job is not to protect the public.
What is their job?
Their job is to protect the board. It's just like with a county attorney. That county attorney is not the attorney for the public. He is the attorney for the corporation, which is the county. And so that can make a tremendous difference. And so we need an appeals process, something that's fair, that doesn't make people go to court to try to get things done correctly.
Any other suggestions for tweaks to the Fisheries Reform Act?
I think that the least equipped people to make the appointments to the Marine Fisheries Commission are the legislators, because when they make appointments, they're doing it because they were lobbied by a group, and rarely are they made because someone has a unique understanding and experience with the fisheries. And I think that's something we're sorely missing, and some of the things that I've seen on there, particularly in the last several years, have been based on rhetoric and what one group might be saying rather than sound science and what's best for the people of North Carolina, who owns that resource.
So who should make the appointments?
I think it should be done by the various groups involved. I think that we need a scientific panel, and they can decide who the representative is on there. We can have a commercial fisheries panel, and they can decide who's going to represent them. And the same thing with recreational. There's really, if you watch the Marine Fisheries Commission, the way it operates, somehow things always come out as though it's recreational versus commercial. And that's not true. What it is groups that are making money off, like the recreational groups, and they don't get donations and things unless they can create a crisis and convince people that they're working for them. And so it becomes based on rhetoric and fundraising rather than the health of the fisheries and the accessibility of the public trust resource by the public.
Do you think that commercial and recreational fishermen could actually sit down and be much closer on solutions for issues?
Absolutely. Most recreational fishermen, they just want to fish. And most commercial fishermen are also recreational fishermen. And it gets down to the health and the allocation of the resource. And the allocation, I think that there are times that, again, when they put restrictions on fishing because of loss of habitat and pollution, well, that's something that the commercial and recreational fishermen can come together on and say, wait a minute, we want you to take care of these things so that we all have access.